Well, guys, once again, good evening. Welcome to our session. We are just about to finish our cycle and, of course, our units. On our unit 12, tonight we will be working on problems and solutions. Tonight is more like a collaborative work. You will be doing one of the final activities in terms of that gradable component. But as usual, before we go to that, just one thing to refresh your memory. Guys, remember that the idea is that you are going to choose, hopefully, the people that you will be working with for the speaking part. ¿No funciona? No funciona. Okay. Some of you have already written your names. Remember that you have until tonight to decide. In case that, well, you don't know, then I will take your names and I will put them in the different groups. Of course, once again, keep in mind that the grade is individual. Up to this point, well, I know it's not an obligation, like you have to know each other and then like you have to work with, the same person all the time. It is not necessary, but just like to organize the groups. It is individual. Technically, tomorrow, I will send you like the email reminding you that on Friday, we have the final speaking part and how the groups were organized, just in case. If you don't care, then remember, I put the names on the, let's say, missing spaces, but at the end of the day, if you want to choose, that's up to you. I just wanted to remind you that. Probably you want also to remind that information on your WhatsApp group. I wanted to start with that. Well, I'm gonna take attendance so we can start working on what we have for tonight. Today is 26. Okay. Gerson Arismendi.
Present.
Okay. Heiner Baez.
I'm here, teacher.
Okay. Jean-Claude Barrera.
Present.
Okay. Yesid Calderón.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Natalia Camargo.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Andrés Camilo Correa.
Hi, teacher, present.
Hi. Andrés Corredor. Not here for the moment. Silvia Natalia Cuellar.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Johan Alberto Duque.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Elkin Darío Fernández. Not here for the moment. Julián Jesús Figueroa. I think I saw him.
Present, teacher.
There you are. Ginette Valentina Fontecha.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Carlos Andrés Galán.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Mabel y Juliet Gamboa.
Present, teacher.
Okay. José Alejandro Gómez.
Here, teacher.
Okay. Lizeth Carolina Tarazona.
Present, teacher.
Okay. And Brian Camilo Vargas. Well, not here for the moment. Okay. I think that Elkin is here now, right?
Yes, teacher, I'm here right now.
Okay. So Andres Corredor is not here and Brian, that's it. This comes in a moment. Well, guys, as I was telling you, tonight we continue working on our unit 12. We're going to take as a point of reference part of what we have here on our book from pages 120 on and 121. We are not going to work with this reading. We will be working on a video, which is actually talking about making decisions in general. But the first part of the book, that means 120, is actually going to be the part that we will be working on. So, this first part was actually taken from the book. I'm going to read the instruction for you. You're going to read the words and phrases in bold, and you're going to match them with the meaning. Then we're going to reorganize the sentences, now the whole sentences, in the correct order. But the first, let's say, activity that we are going to do is to match the words, the phrases, sorry, that we have in bold with the definitions that we have here on our right. So I'm going to read only the expressions that we have in bold. Had a problem with, sympathetic, trust his intuition, didn't have a care in the world, go away, lose sleep over it, sorted the problem out, made a decision, concerns, ignore, talk it over. Notice, for the moment, we're focusing our attention only on the words that we have here in bold. And the idea is to match them with the corresponding definition. For example, in the case to disappear, the definition that we would match it to would be with go away, okay? So we can say now that in this case, go away was already used with number 1. We're going to divide the activity into 2 parts. First, matching, okay? Guys, do you have any questions about the instructions?
No, teacher.
Okay, very good. I know that for some of you, some phrases are really simple. Probably other phrases require you to look for the meaning of them, and that's fine. The idea that you guys look for those meanings. I'm gonna give you 8 minutes. Okay, so after that, we will move to the second activity. But let's start with this one, checking vocabulary. 8 minutes starting now. Okay. First of all, we were matching the words in bold. So now, or then actually, when we had that meaning clear, we could decide on the organization of the statements. But first things first. Andres Correa. What about the second statement? It says to have nothing to worry about.
Okay, teacher, I think is, let me check. Didn't have a care in the world.
Very good. Let me close it out. Carlos, what about the third one? In the third one, we have to solve a problem. Carlos?
Okay. Excuse me, the mic is off.
Okay.
Sort the problem out.
Very good. Well, let's have a look at number 4. Elkin, sorry, number 4 says to discuss a problem.
Teacher, is talking it over?
Very good. Let's have a look at number 5, Jeanette. In number 5, we had to pretend you can't see or notice something.
Ignore.
That would be it. Very good. Let's have a look at number 6. Let me move this chart over here. For number 6, Jean-Claude. In number 6, we had to decide.
Made a decision.
That's it. Can I close it? Now I did. Let's have a look at number 7. In number 7, we have to not like something. Gerson.
Okay, teacher, had a problem with.
Very good. In number 8, Jose, we had to be kind and willing to listen.
Teacher, sympathetic.
That's it. Very good. Number 9, we had things you worry about. Julian.
Concerns.
Concerns. Okay, now in number 10, to believe in your feelings.
Trust his intuition.
Intuition. Very good. And well, the one that we have left, Tainer, to be unable to sleep at night because of something.
Lose sleep over it.
That's it. Very good. Well, now we know. No. I know that you already knew this part. Just like to expand the vocabulary, some synonyms of these expressions that we had in bold. I think I can erase already all these drawings. Let's put it like that. Let's not forget now the second part of the instruction. Remember that the idea is to reorganize these ideas. Now we have to pay attention to the whole statement. In the previous exercise, let's say that we were just, air quotations, having a look at the words in bold. But let's read the whole sentences, the whole thing, so now we can get the meaning, of course, of the story that is being presented. Lisette, could you read A, please?
Until one day he realized he had a problem with his marriage.
That's it. Very good. Magali, could you read B, please?
Sorry, teacher. What?
Could you read sentence B, please?
The friend was sympathetic and told him to trust his intuition.
Sympathetic and to trust.
Trust his
Listen. Intuition.
Intuition.
That's it. Thank you, Magali. And Natalia, could you read C, please?
Okay, teacher. Frank was happy. He didn't have a care in the world.
That's it. Very good. Let's read D. Silvia Natalia.
Yes, teacher. Frank? Yes? The
No,
C?
D.
E. Okay, D. D. But it didn't go away and he began to lose sleep over it.
Jessit, could you read E, please?
Him. Together they sorted the problem out.
That's it. Andres Correa, F, please.
Finally, Frank made a decision. He talked to his wife about his concerns.
Concerns. Carlos G, please.
Yes, at first, Frank tried to
Right.
ignore the problem,
Tried.
right? Okay.
Yes. Good. And Elkin H.
So Frank talked it over with a friend and asked his advice.
Okay, talked it. This sounds like a T. Well, guys, very good. Now you know the meaning in case that you didn't, or you refresh your memory about the meaning of those phrases in bullets. In this case, as you already noticed, it is a story. What you have to do is to organize the list of events. I'm gonna help you just with number one. In the case of number one, or the first event that it is presented in the story is C. Frank was happy. He didn't have a care in the world. This is going to be the first sentence. The idea that from that one, you are going to organize them, making sure that the sequence of events is logical. Okay, we continue doing this part individually. For this part, I'm gonna give you 6 minutes. I'm sure that it is easier for you now to do it. In case that you hadn't finished after the 6 minutes, you would let me know, okay? Well, guys, any questions about the instruction?
Yes, teacher.
Tell me a question.
Oh, no, no, teacher. Excuse me. It's clear.
Okay, good. 6 minutes starting now. Okay, time's up. Sorry, guys, did you finish?
Yes, teacher.
Great, Lisa. Thank you very much. I hope you guys did. Let's see. We already knew, well, I already told you, I'm sure that you had already discovered that number 1 was C, like the beginning of the story. Which is the second event, Jeanette?
Yes, teacher. The second is until one day he realized he had a problem with his marriage.
Very good. He realized. That's
Realized.
the one. Excellent, Jeanette. Let's have a look at number 3, Jean-Claude.
At first, Frank tried to ignore the problem.
Very good. Event number 4, Gerson.
Okay, teacher. So Frank talked it over with a friend and asked his advice.
Not yet.
Not yet.
There is something that goes before that. Something, let's say, it's still more personal.
Okay. Okay. So D, but it didn't go away. It began to lose it over.
Very good. So this would be event number 4. And well, you already said it, Gerson. H would be number 5. What about, good. What about 6, Johan? Johan Alberto?
Teacher, I have a problem with my internet. My fatigue, I don't know.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay, Johan, don't worry. Jose, number 6.
Okay, teacher, the friend was sympathetic and told him to trust his intuition.
The friend. Very good. And then we have number 7 and number 8. Julian?
Together they sort the problem out. Finally, Frank made a decision. He talked to his wife about his concerns.
So you had first E and then F?
Yeah.
Well, ironically,
Or,
yeah, the finally could be tricky.
Yes.
But actually, yeah, F would be 7, because notice that with the sequence of event, he talked to his wife, and then after talking to his wife, they sorted the problem out. So it was a little bit tricky in terms of the finally. Usually we consider that finally is immediately the end, but not like in this context. Okay, guys, very good. Notice that we had a kind of short story in here. We could see the development of all those events. Let me erase this. And based on that sense, that is what you are going to do. I'm going to send you to breakout rooms. Here we have 4 problems. The idea is that you're going to write a story. An aspect that you can keep in mind is that you decide if you make the story could be funny, could be sad, or could be awkward. Okay, let's have a look at the list of 4 problems that we have in here. Keiner, could you read them 4, please?
Yes, teacher. Frank is very worried about a member of his family who is behaving strangely. Frank has a secret in his past and he is worried that his wife or friends will find out. Frank is having problem with his college boss. And Frank is very worried because your ideas.
Colleagues. Or colleague. Only one.
Colleague?
Colleague. Like, what is the meaning of colleague, guys?
Compañeros.
Compañero de trabajo.
Exactly, like a coworker. Very good. So, first of all, choose one of these different problems. Let's put it like that. Make sure that You also choose, let's say, the line of the story in terms of if it is funny, sad, or awkward. The idea is that you are going to use at least 5 phrases from the first exercise. Let me go back to this slide while you had it on the book. Notice that we had 11 phrases. The idea that you use at least 5, specifically the ones that we have in bold. Of course, if you need to make the transformation of the tense, make it. Let's say that here we have it in past simple, but maybe you need to put it in past continuous, or maybe you want to put it in future based on like the voice of the story that you have. That's up to you. In some cases, like for example, sympathetic, it's an adjective. Of course, it doesn't have any other transformation. But for example, go away could be in affirmative form, went away, or would go away with a modal. I mean, that's up to you. So the ones that have like a verb, make the corresponding transformation so the tense makes sense in the story. So remember that at least you're going to use 5. When we come back, well, I have a lot of instructions to give. You guys, you are going to choose one person of your group and you're going to read the whole story to the class. And then at the end, we're going to vote to decide whose story you like best. We're going to see which story is the winner. Let's put it like that. So those are the first aspects. Choose the problem, use at least 5 of the previous expressions, making sure that you make the transformation of the verbs necessary so it actually makes sense. And let's say that there is a kind of competition. Besides that, there are some aspects that I want you to consider. It has to be like a short story, like in Spanish, we also call like un mini cuento. It says no more than 70, but remember that in this case, we can go up to 20 more words. The maximum could be 90 words. Remember that the idea is also like we project ourselves, we kind of practice for the written part of the final exam, that you know that the amount of words is usually 70. So make sure that you edit it as much as possible. Guys, you have to create a title for the story. Remember to include linking words, things like because, so, however, etc. Sequencing words, things like first, second, then, next, finally. Of course, make sure that you check spelling, and punctuation. Aspects that look a little bit obvious, but sometimes we forget to begin the sentence with capital letter, to put the comma, you know, things that look, once again, obvious, but it's necessary like to remember. Well, you know that you are going to write down the story, that you're going to present it. Guys, underline the expressions from part 1, and you're going to include an image to support your story. So I'm going to send you the link here to the always well-known shared PowerPoint presentations. So don't forget to write the title of your story, the gap, let's put it like that, would be from 70 to 90 words, no more. And also you will go online to find an image that somehow matches like the general idea of your story. So I'm going back. Choose one of the problems. This information is on the book, okay? So you won't get lost. Probably you will need, if you consider, of course, to take a screenshot of this slide because these are, let's say, specific aspects that I'm asking you to keep in mind in your story. Guys, any questions while I create the breakout rooms? Yeah. I'm just like fighting
No,
here
teacher.
internally with the computer. Okay. Okay, we don't have repeated accounts tonight. Let me check just in case. Very good. So I'm gonna make sure that you can share the screen. Yes. Guys, in total, you're going to have 20 minutes. You know that 20 minutes look like a lot of time, but it isn't because there are many aspects that you have to consider. Don't forget the title. As usual, I will be checking like your slides, Don't worry if you see that I land over there. Of course, respect the slides of your classmates. Guys, did you already go to the presentation? Could you open the link? Does it work?
Yeah,
Yes,
teacher.
teacher. The link is okay.
Okay, great. Well, guys, I'm gonna send you when everybody's on the rooms. I will let you know that you have 20 minutes starting in that moment. Let's go. Well, guys, welcome back. Well, I'm gonna say something in Spanish. Number one. Faltan varios títulos. Segundo, recuerden que la idea también era subrayar en negrita las expresiones. Lo más importante, el número de palabras. Yo les decía que de 70 un máximo de 90. Esto está muy largo. Se dirán, pero es que uno cómo incluye toda esa información. La primera lectura, la que arrancábamos con el ejemplo, este primer pedacito tiene 87 y ya contaba la historia. Entonces, para que lo tengamos presente. I hope that you also that you kept in mind the use of the other expressions. Not the other expression, like the words that we needed to connect. Let me make sure that I need to see the titles. Give me a second. Well, guys, it's time to share your stories. Let's start presentation mode. Let me see one thing. Okay. So from the first group, we have Carlos, Maveli, and Andres. Maveli, could you read the story, please?
Okay, teacher. Frank's unforgivable mistake.
Unforgivable.
Frank was having trouble with his marriage. He had a child with a woman he met on a business trip and didn't know how to tell his wife. First, she had noticed his strange behavior and asked him what was going on. But Frank could bring himself to admit his mistake. He confided in a friend who was kind and willing to listen and advise him to tell his wife the truth. Then Frank took the advice and decided to tell his wife about the affair. He hoped she would understand and forgive him. But she was heartbroken and couldn't forgive him for betraying her marriage. She filed for divorce and Frank was left to face the consequence of his actions.
Consequences. Okay, very good. A few things to keep in mind. Here noticed the pronunciation. And in this case, we're talking about past, the second paragraph, right? Frank took the advice, so decided to tell. Remember that after to, we don't make any transformation to the verb, okay? We use the infinitive form, that is like the technical name of that. That would be it. Okay, guys, interesting. I think you already decided on the title. Very good. Let's have a look at group number 2. In group number 2, well, you had already highlighted some of the words. We have Jose, Yesid, and Keiner. Yesid, could you read the story, please?
Okay, the company's whistleblower,
Whistleblower.
whistleblower,
Mhm.
whistleblower.
Yes.
A story. Once upon a time, there was a man named Fran who worked in a big corporation and he didn't have a care in the world. Fran was happy and content with his life. However, one day he realized that he had a problem. He realized
Sorry.
that he had a problem. First, they started to notice that his
Or
were
colleagues.
treating colleagues were treating him differently than usual. Next they were avoiding him, whispering behind his back and giving him weird looks. Then Frank tried to ignore it and continue with his work as usual. His supervisor from Human Resources talked with him about his concerns. He explained to Frank his colleagues believed that he was the company's whistleblower. Finally, they sorted the problem out, talked together, and clarified the situation.
Okay, Jesse, I didn't want to interrupt you anymore. Clarifying, you know?
Clarifying.
Finally, colleagues,
Fine.
this one is tricky. Concerns. For some reason, guys, you're putting the accent at the beginning. Not only you, Jesse, of course, but some of you, you said concerns. Concerns. El acento cae en la segunda. And
Concerns.
believe. So here, this one, believe. And tried. Okay, guys, let me, in here, remember, guys, that after a period, we use capital letter, you know? And well, guys, I'm sure that in the meantime, while I gave the instructions, when we came back, don't forget for the other groups, because you already did, highlighting the words that were expected to be highlighted. The company's whistleblower, okay? Let's continue with group number 3. We have Jeanette, Johan, and Sylvia. Johan, read the story, please.
Hi, teacher. The worst was ever a realistic story. Frank was happy with his new job because he was employed for a long time and finally he got a job that they really likes. However, currently Frank started to have a problem with his boss because he ignored his break space. For example, when he was at home, his boss hired him to remake, or finish for another task. In a few days, Frank realized he had to stop that situation when his boss asked him to take his car to the car shop. Therefore, Frank decided to talk with his boss after talk it over with his friends. On Monday, he did it, and the boss got mad, started to yell in aside to him that they was ungrateful, and without him, Frank won't have gotten a job. As a result, Frank quit the job, and luckily, he got a new, better job. What's more, now he can know about the boundaries, and that is important for the life aspect, include work.
Okay. Well, Johan, let's start with some aspects of pronunciation. Now he knows. K is silent. The no doesn't exist. Okay? You said Frank, he quit his job. The pronunciation of this word that is a little bit tricky, which is realized. Here at the beginning of the second paragraph. And well, finally in here. Well, I forgot what it is, but the pronunciation and started. Talking about the past. Okay. That was in terms of pronunciation. Remember, guys, that when we use a preposition, we have to, then in verb that we put immediately has to go with ing. After talking it over with his friends. Well, in here is past, right? We are talking about a situation that already happened, I think. It says it started to have a problem with him because he sorry, that would be ignored. Well, those would be like the very general aspects of it. Thank you, group number 3. Let's continue with group number 4. We had Julian, Natalia, and Lisette. Natalia, could you read the story, please?
Okay, teacher. The title is Love is Blind, but Not Much. Frank thought he had a perfect marriage and he didn't have a care in the world. One day, he realized that his wife was behaving strangely. First, she began to reject him. She was less sympathetic. I don't know.
Sympathetic.
Sympathetic. Next, she started coming home late at night after work. Then, when he tried to talk with her, she ignored him. However, he wasn't sure if he could trust his intuition. Therefore, he checked her phone while she was sleeping, and he found that she was chatting on him, so he went away.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, guys, also for following the instructions. Just one thing, because it is past, when he tried to talk with her, she ignored him. That would be it. Love is blind, but not too much. Good. And we finish with this story. Let me check one thing. Sorry for the noise. Okay. Here we have Gerson, Elkin, and Jean-Claude. Gerson, you are in charge.
Okay, teacher. The title is The Dark Secret of Frank. First, it all began one rainy night when Frank had been driving home from a long day at work. He saw a sympathetic homeless person on the side of the road, and something about the man's desperate age struck a chord with Frank. He pulled over and offered the man a ride. Then, while Frank and the homeless man were in the car, they got into a terrible accident. The homeless person, whose real name is Jake, was badly injured and Frank was killed on impact. However, in that moment of shock and confusion, Jack made a decision that would alter the course of his life. He switched their identities. Frank had always lived with the fear of his secret getting out. Therefore, he began to lose sleep over it and he knew that if it ever came to light, it would destroy everything he had worked so hard to build. He had a problem with his family because he wasn't the true Frank. Finally, Frank had decided to make a decision. He can't hold the lie anymore. His name is Jack. He was homeless and decided to honor the person who saved his life by living his life. He will, he will talk to his family and hopes to resolve their concert together. He trusts that together, as a family, sorted the problem out. To be continued.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Pronunciation in here that you said struck a chord. Then we had injured, well, killed. And when you said they shared identities, had always lived. Then in here, there are two people waiting. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Well, in the case making in past, he will talk to his family and hopes to resolve. Well, I think that talking about the past and put it into present. This one. Maybe I would change it to couldn't. Keeping it like the line, you know, of the tenses, how they were developing. Because that is something that he was, let's say, thinking in the past. Just like something to keep in mind. Okay. Well, this is not 90 words. It is well like written and with a lot of descriptions, but guys, keep in mind when those instructions are given. Okay, guys, very interesting. Let me refresh your memory. We have Frank's unforgivable mistake as the first story. The second story, we have the company's whistleblower. The third story that we had in here, the worst boss ever, a real story. Okay, you changed realistic for real, and actually it looks better with real instead of realistic. Let me make here a change because remember that we are going to vote. Now, story number 4, we have Love is Blind but Not Much. And then story number 5. Me faltaba el número. Yes, we have The Dark Secret of Frank. Very good. We have already listened to the stories of your classmates. Of course, I'm sure that you like maybe one story more than the other. To wrap up this part, guys, I'm going to share my screen. And based on the titles, you are going to vote, you know. In your opinion, which of these stories for you would you like best? Probably you like yours, but maybe the one that your classmates wrote is a little bit more interesting. That's up to you. When you go here to the link, there you will find the titles. In this case, you can choose only one, okay? You choose your title and then you click on submit. So let's see, after creating these wonderful stories, which are the winners? I'm gonna give you like a minute to decide, and then we will move to the next part, which is actually a video that we're going to watch about decisions. 1 minute starting now. Let's see which story is the winner. Okay, we have only 10 votes. What happens with the other, like 5 maybe? Let me see, we have repeated accounts. Yeah.
Teacher, no me carga.
Oh, no. Okay. For the moment, we have a tie between story number 1 and story number 4. Let's see if in the following few seconds there is any change. Okay, 9:30, no changes. Okay, so after a final vote, we got the story number 1 as the winner. There are more votes, okay. Frank's unforgivable mistake. Of course, guys, all the stories were well created. You decided the line, some more dramatic than the others. That was up to you. But in this case, notice that it wasn't not only to create the story. I was asking you to include.
I can't.
You
I
can
can't see the like
The results.
the
you
result.
haven't. Okay, yeah, actually, because I'm not sharing. So notice, I am not lying about the final votes. Notice that the winner is story number 1, second place is story number 4, and third place story number 3. So maybe you are thinking that I'm making up the results. No, no, no. These are the results. Yes, guys, so keep in mind those things. Notice that it is not as easy as it sounds. Well, in some cases, I know, guys, that some of you have like really good, let's say, imagination and are really good at writing down. I also know that currently there are really good tools to be used. The idea is not to rely too much on them. Like, let's make sure that it is actually your own inspiration and your own creativity. At the end of the day, is your process, you know? So I know that sometimes we need extra help, but there are some cases that we rely way too much on that extra help. The idea that you guys improve every single day. Well, guys, and to finish, well, you notice that on the book, let me share the presentation. Let me go back. You notice that on the book, on the second part on page 121, we have a reading, but in this case, I decided to make an adjustment and we will be working on a more listening, well, video, speaking part. If we don't have the time, you know, to complete the part where we socialize ideas, we can do it tomorrow, that it is basically our final session in terms of content. Of course, this part was related about making decisions in plural. So we're going to watch a video and notice what the title of the video is. It says, why do we make irrational decisions? I'm going to share the video with you. And the idea, guys, is that you're going to take notes, please. We have already had this type of discussion about the following concepts that will be present on the video. We have rational economic theory, conjunction fallacy, heuristics, and loss aversion. Maybe in this moment, these concepts don't look like something that, well, I'm not saying that you don't know, but maybe for some of you, some of the concepts don't make like sense in terms of making decisions, but they will be present on the video. So, of course, there are other aspects that are being presented. If you want to also include this information from the video, that would be great. But once again, I want you specifically to pay attention on these these 4 aspects, sorry. Rational economic theory, conjunction fallacy, heuristics, and loss aversion. I'm gonna share now the screen with the video. Guys, do you have any questions about the instructions?
No, teacher.
Okay. Take some notes. We will eventually then move to a collaborative activity. That will be the final activity of the night. We will watch it twice.
Let's say you're on a game show. You've already earned $1,000 in the first round when you land on the bonus space. Now you have a choice. You can either take a $500 bonus, guaranteed, or you can flip a coin. If it's heads, you win a $1,000 bonus. If it's tails, you get no bonus at all. In the second round, you've earned $2,000 when you land on the penalty space. Now you have another choice. You can either take a $500 loss or try your luck at the coin flip. If it's heads, you lose nothing. But if it's tails, you lose $1,000 instead. If you're like most people, you probably chose to take the guaranteed bonus in the first round and flip the coin in the second round. But if you think about it, this makes no sense. The odds and outcomes in both rounds are exactly the same. So why does the second round seem much scarier? The answer lies in a phenomenon known as loss aversion. Under rational economic theory, our decisions should follow a simple mathematical equation that weighs the level of risk against the amount at stake. But studies have found that for many people, the negative psychological impact we feel from losing something is about twice as strong as the positive impact of gaining the same thing. Loss aversion is one cognitive bias that arises from heuristics, problem-solving approaches based on previous experience and intuition, rather than careful analysis. And these mental shortcuts can lead to irrational decisions, not like falling in love or bungee jumping off a cliff, but logical fallacies that can easily be proven wrong. Situations involving probability are notoriously bad for applying heuristics. For instance, say you were to roll a die with 4 green faces and 2 red faces 20 times. You can choose one of the following sequences of rolls, and if it shows up, you'll win $25. Which would you pick? In one study, 65% of the participants, who were all college students, chose sequence B, even though A is shorter and contained within B. In other words, more likely. This is what's called a conjunction fallacy. Here, we expect to see more green rolls, so our brains can trick us into picking the less likely option. Heuristics are also terrible at dealing with numbers in general. In one example, students were split into 2 groups. The first group was asked whether Mahatma Gandhi died before or after age 9, while the second was asked whether he died before or after age 140. Both numbers were obviously way off, but when the students were then asked to guess the actual age at which he died, the first group's answers averaged to 50, while the second group's averaged to 67. Even though the clearly wrong information in the initial questions should have been irrelevant, it still affected the students' estimates. This is an example of the anchoring effect, and it's often used in marketing and negotiations to raise the prices that people are willing to pay. So, if heuristics lead to all these wrong decisions, why do we even have them? Well, because they can be quite effective. For most of human history, survival depended on making quick decisions with limited information. When there's no time to logically analyze all the possibilities, heuristics can sometimes save our lives. But today's environment requires far more complex decision-making, and these decisions are more biased by unconscious factors than we think, affecting everything from health and education to finance and criminal justice. We can't just shut off our brains' heuristics, but we can learn to be aware of them. When you come to a situation involving numbers, probability, or multiple details, pause for a second and consider that the intuitive answer might not be the right one after all. Let's say you're on a game show. You've already earned $1,000 in the first round when you land on the bonus space. Now you have a choice. You can either take a $500 bonus, guaranteed, or you can flip a coin. If it's heads, you win a $1,000 bonus. If it's tails, you get no bonus at all. In the second round, you've earned $2,000 when you land on the penalty space. Now you have another choice. You can either take a $500 loss or try your luck at the coin flip. If it's heads, you lose nothing. But if it's tails, you lose $1,000 instead. If you're like most people, you probably chose to take the guaranteed bonus in the first round and flip the coin in the second round. But if you think about it, this makes no sense. The odds and outcomes in both rounds are exactly the same. So why does the second round seem much scarier? The answer lies in a phenomenon known as loss aversion. Under rational economic theory, our decisions should follow a simple mathematical equation that weighs the level of risk against the amount at stake. But studies have found that for many people, the negative psychological impact we feel from losing something is about twice as strong as the positive impact of gaining the same thing. Loss aversion is one cognitive bias that arises from heuristics, problem-solving approaches based on previous experience and intuition, rather than careful analysis. And these mental shortcuts can lead to irrational decisions, not like falling in love or bungee jumping off a cliff, but logical fallacies that can easily be proven wrong. Situations involving probability are notoriously bad for applying heuristics. For instance, say you were to roll a die with 4 green faces and 2 red faces 20 times. You can choose one of the following sequences of rolls, and if it shows up, you'll win $25. Which would you pick? In one study, 65% of the participants, who were all college students, chose sequence B, even though A is shorter and contained within B. In other words, more likely. This is what's called a conjunction fallacy. Here, we expect to see more green rolls, so our brains can trick us into picking the less likely option. Heuristics are also terrible at dealing with numbers in general. In one example, students were split into 2 groups. The first group was asked whether Mahatma Gandhi died before or after age 9, while the second was asked whether he died before or after age 140. Both numbers were obviously way off, but when the students were then asked to guess the actual age at which he died, the first group's answers averaged to 50, while the second group's averaged to 67. Even though the clearly wrong information in the initial questions should have been irrelevant, it still affected the students' estimates. This is an example of the anchoring effect, and it's often used in marketing and negotiations to raise the prices that people are willing to pay. So, if heuristics lead to all these wrong decisions, why do we even have them? Well, because they can be quite effective. For most of human history, survival depended on making quick decisions with limited information. When there's no time to logically analyze all the possibilities, heuristics can sometimes save our lives. But today's environment requires far more complex decision-making, and these decisions are more biased by unconscious factors than we think, affecting everything from health and education to finance and criminal justice. We can't just shut off our brains' heuristics, but we can learn to be aware of them. When you come to a situation involving numbers, probability, or multiple details, pause for a second and consider that the intuitive answer might not be the right one after all.
Okay, guys, of course, I know that time is not enough, but then this is what we are going to do. So I can set like somehow the guide of what we will be doing tomorrow. Remember that the idea was to take notes about these concepts. Once again, we are not going to go to breakout rooms now. It would be like useless just going for 2 minutes. But tomorrow, we will start by answering these questions, right? Question number 1 says, do heuristics always lead to a wrong choice? That probably is a very easy question. The second one is a little bit more complex. Heuristics can be advantages from an evolutionary perspective. Can you think of a scenario in which being guided by an intuitive decision is actually better than a careful analysis of the situation? I want you to think a little bit, when answering this second question that we have in here. I'm going to send them to the chat just in case. So tomorrow, the first thing that we are going to do, wait, I don't know why it looks like, let me check one thing. Okay, it took it like a picture. I wasn't expecting that. Well, anyway, guys, you will see the material uploaded in our folder as usual. So in case that you forget or you didn't take the screenshot or you didn't take the questions from the chat, there they are. So tomorrow, of course, we will be covering what we have for tomorrow, but the first thing that we will do would be to socialize the answers of these questions. Of course, based on what was presented on the video, and I'm sure also taking into account what you already know about these concepts. So let's say that these two questions in here are the homework for tomorrow, like you are ready to answer them. Guys, any questions about these instructions? Questions?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Okay, great. Well, guys, before we go, once again, let me refresh your memory about our speaking. Remember that you have until tonight. Let me share once again the link just in case. If after 9:50, some of you hadn't written down your names, then I will write them down. That means that I will make the decision of who will be working with whom. We have still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who haven't made the decision yet. I repeat, remember that the grades are individual. Usually the activities that are assigned, not the activities, like the topics that are assigned for each group, they are, I dare to say easy, maybe I shouldn't say that word, but of course they are related to the different topics that we have been studying on this unit. So the ones that already wrote your names, great. The ones that haven't, I will have to write them down for you after 9:50. After 9:50, the first thing that I do would be to change here the settings, only to reader. And then tomorrow I will send you the email, as I told you, like that protocolary email telling you on Friday, the 28th, we have the final exam, the speaking part. The groups are divided in this way. So we get the information from that part, okay? Guys, did you have any question?
No, teacher, thank you.
Okay, guys, that would be all for tonight. As usual, thank you very much. Do not forget the mini homework. Well, it's not that mini, but anyway, for tomorrow, be ready to socialize the answer of these questions. Remember that our point of reference was the video. Guys, have a wonderful night and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, teacher. See you tomorrow.
Bye,
Take
teacher.
care,
Have a good
everybody.
night.